From a longer personal channeling, where specific questions were brought forward, the Ancient Ones speak to one and to many at once. Receive what meets you in your own life. If you feel called, I offer private sessions with the Ancient Ones. The link is in the comments below. So, a calling is not precise, it is evoked by the mystery to fulfill a void in space, which is governed by the law of reciprocity. Therefore, what is calling you to fulfill works in a reciprocal nature. So to place one's intention on receptivity changes momentum, which governs time. So it is happening now. Like, there we go. We're going to feel now. So when one is open to receive the gifts of love, harmony from others, and within oneself, the template is chosen and at times conscious, yet will develop into a pathway with their chosen destination. So we see the Christ lineage flowing through your lines, and where there has been deception interrupted by the faith that had not been preceded by your father's lineage, which held its roots as incomplete, dishonest to where one's heart lies. This became polarized in your antiquity, therein created dissonance to achieve a noteworthy independence from discriminatory practices. And this in which we've been bringing meaning and selfless service into places where discrimination should not be present. They're mentioning, of course, in all areas, yet we highlight that in the healing and guidance of all beings. One cannot be held truly when in a presence that holds discrimination. So thus her journey so far has led her with utmost patience into places that may have held this polarization. Hence her father's, hence disentangling her father's line, which leads us into relationship. I'm going to stop here and just connect in with you to see if how that sits with you.
Yeah, it certainly lands. I can feel my body responding to that in a way that shows me the truth of those words and my power of being in that. And my body feels very clear and strong. And also, there's the presence of grief for bringing forth that discrimination. I can feel that as well. The two parts of what you said, those two truths. It causes me to feel teary a bit in hearing that.
And is there certain examples or ways in life that you feel like you can apply that to in terms of how, with the practical, everyday, like, or even like, your environment within, whether it be your school environment or the way that certain situations that have developed in your life, in terms of how you offer your service? If you want to share certain examples, that's great. But I'm just asking if that is something that you feel like has been, you know what I mean, is applicable that you can see.
Yeah, I feel like in my presence and devotion to speaking, to writing, to honoring this tradition of Magdalene, Mary, these guardians, I can feel the purification, as you were mentioning, reciprocity. And there's reciprocity with the collective oversoul or with them and being attentive to them, and also in my life and opening to love, opening to truly give that same devotion to all beings who I am in contact with, whether that's simple tea or more robust healing, really bringing that same presence that they show me through my walk and through my work. I feel that purification that they're bringing.
Hmm. Beautiful. And do you feel like that in certain places, do you feel like you see the polarization in this, this is something I'm just curious about. And in terms of how that relates to maybe certain environments that you've been in, do you see any kind of elements of discrimination in terms of the way that people hold space um, in environments where you maybe you feel like there's some elements that you need to model a different way of holding space without discrimination?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear in my own self my response being a response that is also discriminatory because I enter into spaces, I think, where I am being held and have a pattern of feeling unsafe. And so that expresses in sometimes ceremonial context or just generally, like when there's a space of meditation or Reiki, that discrimination starts to come up. And I think it's related to that connection with my father line, where I have um, inherited or come across this pattern of not having faith in truly that faith being in myself to hold myself in that space of coherence. And it feels like a ricochet, like I'm unsafe and then I get displaced and then there's judgment around what's happening. And also the discrimination being a process of discernment, I find as it grows as this part of me, I learn and explore that part, um, like through the school where I am here. It's um, concerned with justice. All classes are with a focus of justice, and
Oh,
we spend a lot of time on categories, learning about how categories have been placed upon people to create situations of discrimination. And I'm here on in this place learning constantly that those realities, which has caused too this bubbling of grief and learning to really sit with how this has happened collectively and where it's happening inside of me. And there's an attention I feel that is being grown and cultivated through this shadow work to process where discrimination may be, and also to continue to go forth with the discernment where it can become not discrimination, but discernment. Um, yeah, clearing that pathway inside of me, the judgment that comes around the like conscious co-creation. But I'm also hearing a lot in your sharing of the surrender that is here and the trust and the faith that the
mm,
collective oversoul is bringing that through. My guides and guardians are bringing that through. That this discrimination that comes from me is it's like so not necessary. It's already present there. Messages are already present. So
mm,
trusting that.
mm. Wow, so interesting. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. Yeah. It's so interesting, this life. Okay, so I'll keep going on here. Um, so the Divine Mother is articulated here, um, not as one who bears children, yet that looks after all without discrimination. Like, that's so beautiful for you. Hmm. As she no longer sees the bearer of light as different than her own. And while that occurs, a sensibility for dissatisfaction into world affairs takes place. As again, it is in this paradox where one no longer becomes accustomed to discriminate, and yet the world influences you to do so for one's own self protection. This is where relationship drama can accrue in certain environments, and where she would be in better surroundings for the equality in work relationships. So, this is where we point to the North, as it has been for some time a place held in reverence to the Great Mother, a chrysalis of remembrance to open a pathway within the treasures of adornments to accrue. And they're mentioning like certificates, accolades, more like stature, in your environment. Do we want to stop and go back to anything that we would just said, just to give it more pause? It was so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. It relates to what I shared, what you read right after. It feels true and an echo to that. And the part about the North, now my mind is curious, so
Yeah.
let's read. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. What great mother. It's such a beautiful tie-in. Okay. So then there is the South. So they're talking about the North, and this is the regions, location based, right? So then there is the South, wherein relationship development will far outlast the other kind, meaning short-lived, where one can see deeper meaning and purpose for the collectivity of one's oversoul coming into conjunctions with new areas and templates of human development. This may mean a job offer or primarily a new focus on how collectivity can be shared with others. Running programs that detail how food storage, accumulation, and disbursement can be harnessed within community settings. How within new structures, certain depravities that humans face is not based on collective agreements, yet are places in the soul that call for readjoining with one's soul's collective, and that these new structures address the deeper calling that has been in the void due to negligence and an absence of trust. So there are many layers that they mentioned she, addressing you, has come to address. So there are many layers that you have come to address. And we strongly advise not to dismiss the physical, as they are symptoms of the absurdities happening at the quantum level. Absurdities they address as in misconjoined, not incoherence. So this is the work she has come here to do within all fields, most precisely the collective. So there too in Pennsylvania will bring you Great Heart, which would serve as foundation, a place to leap from. Some places in the world serve as that, a place to reconvene before the next creation, and ultimately bring into harmony a space where others would come as well. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it. I had a dream that I would go back to Pennsylvania and be there for some time. Yeah, I feel so supported by this reading.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh. So as as the Rose lineage through Mother Mary has been a guiding force for your identity, it has begun a new cycle through these past generations. Like the lineage itself, they're not, I'm sure into relationship to you, but just as itself as a new cycle, as it refines and clarifies an aptitude for remembrance of the great exaltation, the great exaltation. And what we mean by that is the release. As no one currently living today has been through a period that has held this pathway, or better yet, this threshold. It has been in minor, like a minor one they're mentioning, through the 1930s. Yet what is occurring now, which coincides with what is being released, is a statutory set of beliefs for conduct in large of the feminine on this planet, precursed by the divine, precursed like the divine feminine, amplifying its role, which incites a great exaltation. So there are few people who can carry such a place in leadership, as the remembrance and memory isn't there. which one, such as yourself, can serve to catalyze. So all who are in favor will reconcile and thus begin a new rite of passage, which holds collectivity or rebranding of the feminine's placement in society. So it is now a good time to bring in collectives in shining a light on a new agrarian system can unfold. So I looked up agrarian because I didn't know what it meant really. And it's about the cultivation of land and food and disbursement of land and food. Yeah. And how that is all organized in society. So in the nature for egalitarian systems, for adoption, she may start small and local first, while the template is setting, which pervades through collective encounters to adopt. Ultimately, resourcing a nature-based system that reflects wholeness, sustainability, which will arise first in the South. Seeking solutions from plant-based places, such as in the far South, by renewing the memory from dieting the rose, to help in leadership, in fostering interdependence with the collective that you seek to bridge. Do you want me to pause? I see something that you would love to or connect with in all of that.
Yeah.
A little bit time to sink in. Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to care,
Yeah.
to be attentive to creation. I hear your words and the words of the ancient ones. Honor the template of care, care for the earth and the soil. Feels in my soul like a deep resting and settling in the truth that the care does bridge.
Yeah. It does. It does. Yeah.
Feels like deep healing to those pathways within me that have been so attentive to the collective that has been walking through this polarization.
Yeah. Wow. Mm. Yeah. I'm just feeling you right now and just feeling that, that grief that you are also releasing. There is also that element of, in reciprocity when there's a calling for others to reach out to you as well. Um, to gifts and unique things to hold you in some path with great that and a allowance of protection,
Mm,
that feeling that, in the collective as well as in your own work, that, because grief often is held more when we don't feel that there's something protected. Um, and then we, try to sometimes do it both. You're in it, and then you're also.
yeah, yeah,
So that's where like community and that field that in the physical, like actual real people, you know, um,
yeah.
like that hold that space with you, you know.
Mhm.
Anyway, I just want to share that from my own heart and my own feeling of wanting that for you. Um, yeah. So, okay. So this is the last bit. We're here. And so grants, subsidies, investments will come as long as your roots are planted in good soil. May you see that partnership will help these projects blossom. And what we mean is intimate love relationships. As above, so below. It does help the flow. With love and cooperation in heart, body, and mind, the ancient ones.
Hmm.
And I know that that wasn't a question that you had, which is why they didn't go into it. But it was something that they, and I could feel it throughout the reading, and I was like, "Are you going to say it?" When there was um, just how that path and those the conjunction pieces are really it feels really strong and joined within that a love intimate relationship um of where that flow is happening to become stronger, and that will also be a really helpful space for your own arisal and offerings.